Megan Hicks of I Run Far, and we're here at the finish line of the 2017 Western States 100. I'm with women's second place finisher Magda Boulet. Woohoo! Yeah, girl!
Yeah, I made it.
Your third time at Western States, your second finish. How did it feel to get to the finish line yesterday after your sort of sickness issue previous year?
It was such a relief to just get to the finish line. You know, deep inside, I knew that, you know, I had it in me to finish. But, that feeling is so good. No matter how it goes, just reaching that finish line is a big achievement.
Physically and mentally feels good.
Oh, yeah. Little redemption from, check.
You've been at Western States 3 times now. You've seen the course in 3 different conditions. It seems like by everybody's reports, the first 15 or 20 miles of the race were categorically ridiculous yesterday.
It was a lot tougher than I anticipated.
Okay.
It was really tough on the body.
Can you talk about what that actually means, what it felt like?
Yeah, so, to begin with, the first climb, the snow was actually kind of pleasant. It was a little slushy, but not a big deal. It was actually kind of fun to run in it. But then once we, went over the top escarpment and into the high country, that was really rough. You're running on kind of icy and hard part of the snow. Casey and I were running together. We came to a stop where we kind of didn't even know if we were going in the right direction.
Okay.
We're looking for the flags.
We're
on a bunch of snow. There's a lot of just slip and slide and just a lot of effort just to stay on your feet.
Okay.
And you're using muscles that you have not used. Probably
or in a very different way.
Yes. Casey goes, I've never run on snow. So it was, and that was just the beginning. And then you hit the mud part, and that was just endless. Just parts of the course where you're just going almost knee deep in the mud.
Oh wow!
Not fun. It makes it hard. You're working so much harder than you would have liked at mile 10, 15, 20.
Yeah, and so very early in a long day.
Early, yes. So by the time I got to Robinson Flood, I was feeling like really good when it comes to my breathing and mentally and aerobically. I'm like, yes, this is really where I'm supposed to be. But I could tell that my quads were already more spent than they should have been.
Tougher 50K than it should have felt like.
Oh yeah.
So what goes through your head at that point in time? Like, you've done this stuff for a little bit now. You've had some highs and lows. I mean, what goes through your mind when you're 50K into 100 miles and you think, okay, now there's going to be a battle with my legs now?
Right. So I really was just paying attention, like really being in tune with your body and knowing when to back off, instead of getting caught up in someone else's race. It was just too early. So, my focus became just kind of listen to the cues that your body's giving you, and if needed be, just back off because it's too early to have issues.
Yeah. You, at least from the outside looking in, it felt like for such a long time, the women were really tight.
Right.
Like, were you literally seeing other women and their races in progress? Like, sometimes when you're a woman, it's easier to run your own race because you don't see another woman for quite some time, right?
Yeah. It's you're right. It was really easy to get kind of sucked in someone else's race because we were so close. So you kind of want to jump on a train. There's 3 women going together. Why not? It's a lot more fun, but at the same time, you're kind of giving up your race plan. So I had to make some decisions, in the middle of the race where, for me, I hit a pretty low patch going into El Dorado Canyon. I could tell that my quads were definitely starting to hurt a little bit more, and I knew at that point if I didn't back off a little bit, maybe there was a high chance of me not really getting to Auburn, and
All
I
the way
wasn't
to the end.
and I wasn't going to risk that. You know, the number one priority was get to that finish line. So I backed off, and also happened to be, you know, one of the hottest parts of the day, and on the course it was brutal, climbing out of El Dorado Canyon and going into Michigan Bluff.
A lot of people talk about the heat of the canyons at Western States, but to talk about it is a pretty intangible thing. What do the heat of the canyons, what does that feel like? Is it suffocating? Is it just... Yeah.
It all depends how much heat training you've done.
Okay.
I think I've done a pretty good job with heat training, so it wasn't really a sufferfest for me as much as just respecting the canyons and backing off a little bit and getting through them without, you know, major suffering. I mean, it's uncomfortable. It's, you know, anytime you get a little breeze or shade, you just go, thank you.
I don't know who
thank
said
you,
that, but
thank you. Yes. So just being really smart in the canyons, and it's hard to back off when you know there's a race in front of you.
I Run Far watched you all day long, and at some point, I don't know exactly when it was, there was a shift where early in the race it looked like you were kind of guarding and protecting and conserving, but then later in the race, like the last 20 miles, you were in full-on race mode again, like trying to be as efficient as you could through aid stations.
Right.
When did you start racing?
For me, when I picked up my pacer,
Okay.
I felt like I was, you know, one of the most lucky in the field by having an awesome pacer. Fernando is just, you know, such a good heart and so much fun to be around. So as soon as I picked him up, I said.
And he took you all the way through, right?
He took me all the way through, and you know, I said, please ride that line of pushing me. You know, I don't want to be in the comfort zone when I pick you up. And he did such a great job. You have to balance that because it's still a long ways to go from Forest Hill. So getting to the river at a good clip was the first goal. And then once we crossed the river, I started to really, you know, I wanted to finish with nothing in my tank.
You and eventual winner Kat Bradley were just like nose to nose at that point in the race.
Yeah, you know, I felt like I had it. I'm like, you know, this is, you know, I'm coming from behind now. This is gonna be fun. Chasing Kat down. This became kind of, you know, my focus. But she did such an amazing job. She kept that gap, you know, as equal between all the aid stations from the river, and I thought I was gaining quite a bit because I felt like I was moving at a pretty good clip, a lot faster than before, and I was, you know, in a chase mode. And
Where is she?
And I get to the next aid station, still the same gap. Like, whoa! She was moving really well. It was really impressive, and it made it for a really exciting race. You know, I just kept chasing all the way to, you know, till I entered the track.
I think there's something to be said about the advantages of having like Olympic caliber legs in a race, but I think also there is something to be said about being chased by an Olympian in terms of elevating your own performance. So I know for sure Kat said that she was running harder because she was being chased by an Olympian.
Well, and that's the beauty of her sport, you know. It takes us to the next level, you know. She did that for me as well. I remember 2015. I kind of knew I had a nice gap. I kind of, you know, I chilled the last 20 miles. I played very conservative. I definitely didn't leave it all out. You know, here she made me work. She made me work hard the last 20 miles.
This is a new thing in women's trail ultra running right now, where the races go all the way to the end, even at the 100-mile distance. Does it, like, what does it feel like mentally to be put in that position, mile 80, mile 90, where you're just working so hard physically, mentally.
It's exhausting. It's hard. This was so much harder than my 2015 win.
Okay.
It was slower. It was harder from the beginning, and just the back and forward of the lead changing constantly. I kind of bounced between 6th and 2nd throughout the day. It's exciting. It makes it for a really fun race, but it's exhausting. It's a lot easier just to get in the lead and kind of run away with it.
Yeah. Have a nice comfy cushion.
Right. And Claire was behind me, 10 minutes. I thought she was coming, so I was running scared too. I was, trying to focus on Kat, but I also wanted to be aware of what was going on, behind me.
Yeah. A first place at Western States, a second place at Western States. I know you said in your interview with us before the race that there's a lot of things on your bucket list. There's a lot of things you want to go out and do in the world. Is this race still talking to you, or do you feel good about where you are with it?
I think there were so many times in the race that I questioned.
I'm never coming back.
Why am I doing this? Yeah, I keep looking at Megan's 9th place finish, and she's got 12 years on me. Not to make us look old, but which is extremely impressive. So part of me goes, well, maybe I still have time to do top 10. Maybe I'm not actually out of this game. Maybe 10 years from now I can still do this.
Yeah.
So part of me wants to chase that. Definitely that DNF last year kind of put a dent on that goal. So it feels really good to finish, and I definitely want to be back.
I suppose you're going to be turning your sights to UTMB now. You were 5th there last year.
Right.
I suppose you probably are going to set your sights higher on that race this year.
That's the goal. The goal is to improve. The field at UTMB this year on the women's side is going to be crazy. But same was said about this race, and you still have to keep reminding yourself that it's a 100-mile race. Nothing is just given to you just because of how talented you are and what you have accomplished. The year before. Those things just go out the window when the gun goes off.
As I'm getting to know you through the years and watching you do this, it seems like that's one of the driving forces of you here, is just the unknown territory that you get to experiment with. It's
so cool. I mean, I want to say that there are probably a handful of women in the race that are a lot quicker than me at this point, but that's kind of the beauty about all the challenges that you face in a 100-mile race and how you handle them, and that's very attractive to me because I feel I kind of that's my thing.
Yeah, that's your shtick.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to you on
Thank
your
you.
2nd place finish, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the starting line of UTMB.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Thank you.
Yeah.